one of the biggest things that our parents used to say to us was like, you know, you're wasting all your time, go outside. Like, and I'm like, all the time that I spent outside and away from games as a kid was a waste of time. You know what I mean?
I love that.
Like, we would be so rich if we just focused on games when we were kids.
So if you have a kid, he's locking you inside, blacked out windows, and you're just playing games 24/7.
No clocks.
No clocks.
There's vitamin D supplements, man. You don't need there's a certain impression that gets made when you travel to New York and you see avalanche on the subway.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And then again, when there's this like event that millions of dollars have been poured into, and there's an F1 car, and you've got Grimes performing, and like,
Yeah.
you know, it goes like, oh, okay, these guys are serious and they're here to stay, sort of thing. If I was a traditional Web 2 company and I wanted to build, hello.
I get another one in the bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I was a Web 2 company, I wanted to build something on a serious platform, I would have a bit more confidence if I'd been to something like that.
Cool. Okay.
I guess.
It's branding and marketing and showing that this isn't just a bull run brain move. This is actually a real business, a real blockchain that's actually here, and there's a community here to attracts developers
And their foundation,
and entrepreneurs.
AVAX, seems to have a pretty unique value proposition in itself, where it's got, you know, the founder that's a part of it, and you know, some really big hitters are part of that core company that obviously funds these things like the summit and encourages teams to come on board and stuff like that.
My emotional
All right, now we're getting serious.
No. My emotional perception of AVAX was that when I was like being a DJ and in the chain, that I was like, oh, everyone's like a little bit like friendlier here. I saw a lot more Pepe memes here.
Heaps more memes, man.
Heaps more memes. It was a bit more silly.
As soon as we came up with this like sticky concept that we were like, that's really funny.
Yeah.
There was no other home.
Yeah.
That made sense.
Yeah.
It just made perfect sense to be on Avalanche. Like,
Yeah.
we were DJs on the chain as well before we built there. Like,
Oh, okay.
We were
Okay.
DJs everywhere.
Fuck am I in, mate? Funny as fuck. And then the Chikn thing was sick. That was sick. That's when I GB Elio trades, and
Thanks for
then
the Johnny and bag, big all right.
I would be alright, bro. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One more time.
Okay. Cool.
Thanks.
Stacked.
What do you got there, bro?
We got some serviettes. Thank you so much.
How'd she go?
We got really good.
Oh, it's juicy. How good's the bread?
Do they do the bread here? This used to be Shawarma Roma Roma Roma.
It's the same company that just rebranded the name.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, I want to try that.
I don't know how to try that.
I'm coming to that. We're getting there.
I ripped it.
Bro, you need to have that. The mustard is like really lovely. I don't even know how to attack that.
Like this, bro. So you working this weekend?
Always.
Do you do it every day or?
Well, yeah, pretty much. Between everything, 7 days a week at the moment.
For people that might not have any idea what Chikn is and why it's important, can you give us a quick rundown?
So basically, our main thesis is upgradable NFTs.
Yeah.
We see a huge opportunity with NFTs in that they're still in their infancy and they're sort of severely underutilized as to what the standards can allow for.
Mm-hmm.
Upgradable metadata is like a huge value proposition, but there's just a lot more that can be done than PFPs. And what we've seen, particularly in like mainstream, is PFPs, you know. And people are starting to realize that, like, oh hey, like these have really great application for gaming, which they do. But I think like what makes them particularly pertinent for gaming is if you can upgrade them, customize them, make them yours.
Yeah.
And develop that attachment to them like we used to with, you know, Tamagotchis, Digimon, even Pokemon to some degree. I think there's like a real opportunity there for NFTs to become that to the next generation and to us. But
So pretty much you're saying that with all the PFP projects that came out into the market, there was no way to customize them, there was no way to make them your own.
Just look at
It was
them.
just, you just get a monkey, it's got those traits, and that's your monkey that you have.
yeah.
So with Chikn, you can customize, modify, make it your own.
Yeah, well, very soon we'll have items that you can craft. You can use these items, equip them to your Chikn. We have equips, sips, and drips, which are like, you know, equipables, consumables, and collectibles. So that'll be a huge sort of step up for the ecosystem. Recently, obviously, with the advent of like crafting and things like this, it just became this whole new meta in our ecosystem. But before that, it was very simple. It was you get a chicken, it lays you egg. You use that egg to generate feed. You feed your chicken, you make it bigger. Bigger chicken lay more egg.
Oh, it's like Tamagotchis.
A lot like Tamagotchis, but you don't have to clean up their shit.
Yeah.
But that is very much the play, you know.
Cool.
So do you think this new style, or new direction you're taking is kind of a way to go against the criticism of like an NFT is just a JPEG?
Yep.
Because that's obviously like, you look at stuff getting up to what? CryptoPunks for $250,000 now worth 15,000, because there's no value to it, right? So is that kind of what you want to do with Chikn long term, is give it that value? Because upgradable keeps people coming back, right?
Yep. Just gonna eat this out of the palm of my hand.
Yeah. I love it.
How is it, by the way? How's your food?
It's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, just real quick pivot, thoughts on your favorite sandwich?
That mustard one.
This
is
one?
The one I've tried, and it was incredible. Yeah, I smashed a whole half of that. I apologize.
The Reuben is
Was this a Reuben?
The roast beef.
Oh, that looks amazing.
is that
Okay,
roast
try
beef or
chicken
Reuben?
one. Roast beef.
Yeah, that's fucking.
I need a bite of that one,
I don't
bro.
know how to tackle this, so I'm just at the moment I'm not going to while I'm talking.
With your mouth.
Nah, smash it, bro.
Just
Eat it. Dive in. Dive in.
Rip it and rip it, big dog. Rip it and rip it.
It is a bit of a grip and rip it situation.
Oh. I wish there was a camera right
Need
here.
the content. Oh man, that's tasty.
She's good?
Yeah.
Oh, what the fuck?
And do you think like the characters is what like made it, you know, doing something really cool from a tech side, right? But it's like the theme, the characters just made it that much more approachable and interesting.
Yeah, I also think like when you're developing something in front of a community, the way that you pass it out is really important.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to.
What do you mean pass it out?
Like bring it out in phases.
Okay.
Like pass PARSE, not PASS.
Oh,
The way that
I'm fucking eat it up.
the way that we have sort of brought everything out piece by piece. I mean,
Awesome.
sure, if you want to attempt that.
I'll attempt it, bro.
Good luck.
I'll attempt it. There's too much happening here.
Yeah, I think the way that you bring things out in phases to make it digestible and not overwhelming to an audience is really important as well. And we really wanted that. Like, we wanted to sort of Trojan horse people with
Yep.
how complex the ideas behind Chikn actually were.
Yeah.
Had we come out and been like,
Good
day
vibes.
one, like this upgradable NFT revolution means, you know, that you can actually upgrade the metadata of your if that was at the fore of our projects, I don't think it would have been as successful as like these are chicken, they lay egg, feed them, make them bigger.
Yeah.
So it's like all about how you package it, and also not coming at them with like, feed us a finite token and it'll run out and then we have a replacement token and that replacement token will do this, that and the other. Like, if we came out with all of it at once, people would have been overwhelmed and possibly dissuaded from getting in.
Yeah.
I love the name. It's just Chikn,
Yeah,
right?
man.
And it's showing that like from the base, it's been simple. Exactly.
And we debated over that name equally, like for so long. It was one of the most critical decisions we made, you know.
Right.
Were we going to do CHIKEN? Were we going to do CHICKN? Were we going to do, like, there were so many iterations.
Yeah.
And it sounds so redundant, but it means everything. Like,
Yeah.
when you see it written down, like now it feels weird to see that word. I don't know what that is.
Shout out to not actual chicken sponsors.
But you know what I mean? Like that looks weird to me and a bit anti-mimetic. Whereas when I say is CHIKN, I'm like, yeah, that feels good.
Because when you talk about chicken, I tell people about it. You go, no, CHIKN.
Yeah.
The website's just chicken.farm. That's it.
Chicken.farm.
Just cut the shit.
I love it.
People go, yeah, they remember it.
I love it.
That's a weird way to spell it. It's hard and autocorrect.
Yeah.
Multiple times to screw that up.
You gotta teach your phone who's boss.
Yeah.
Is your phone used to it yet?
Yeah, very much.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah. No, I think it's like what we're doing is surprisingly out of the box, and it actually baffles me that no one else has attempted it in the way that we have yet. But
Yep.
but it makes too much sense not to do. Like,
Yeah.
it's just a natural application of NFTs. I feel like PFPs are to NFTs what email is to TCP/IP. Like,
There's a lot of acronyms there.
Yeah.
A lot of acronyms I
so
don't
like
know about.
emails to the internet,
Yeah.
the protocol that is the internet. It's a really good application, but it's like that's not what's going to make people be like, oh shit, yeah, like, I really want to. I need to get into
Use
the
it.
internet so I can send someone an email. Like, it's just a really handy tool, right?
For sure.
And it's like PFPs, I think everyone thought was enough for NFTs. Like, oh, I can buy a JPEG and then make it my profile picture. But
I think
it's
when
like,
there was money there, it was enough. You know what I mean? Like, when there's a lot of money
Sure.
in there, and there's like, it was a bull market, but it was, you're like, yeah, sick, this is it, this is the way to do it. Like, I worked, there's a few projects I was like consulting for, and then they saw the market, they go, yep, sick, let's do this, but there's no thought process. Right? Like, we can make a collection of
They
it,
just
we
wanted
can
to get
follow
some
it.
cash in.
I'm sure you guys
Yeah.
have the same experience.
Yeah.
You just dealt with just absolute shit
Yeah.
because they saw the amount of money in it, so you have to adapt and try to figure out how you can change it, right? And if you said to those guys from Chikn a year ago, we're doing X, Y, Z now, no one probably understand it, and they probably would have been like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like,
and
why
they
would
probably
I
wouldn't have
bother?
believed us.
Exactly
either.
right. This guy's selling a ridiculous dream.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to be like digestible and realistic as well.
I like that.
I think if we came out and said we're making a AAA game, people would have been like, "That's no, you're not. You need VC funding for that, and like that'll take 10 years, you know." Whereas now, if we said we were making a AAA game, which we're not, but if we were, people would be like, "Yeah, okay." Like I believe they'll do that. Like I believe they'll follow through on that because they've seen our track record. They know what we're capable of. And it's the same with adding any technical element. But on the PFP thing, like I think there'll always be people who want to collect NFTs, make them their PFP, or just have them because they have a bit of money to put in a non-fungible token.
Yeah.
And that is like, keep in mind that is like a very particular type of investor who's willing to take fungible currency and put it in something that is inherently non-fungible. Like that's someone who either loves the art or someone who has a ridiculous amount of money that they have extra to play with, you know.
I think you mentioned something really cool just earlier that kind of explores that, is you actually built this with your community, or you created community and then you built it with your community. So these people or these investors now have a bit of they have vested interest in the outcome and the actions and the roadmap of the project. And now, what does that say for like people who want to flex their creative spirit or entrepreneurial spirit in the space? You know, like it's possible to find people who align with the same ideas, creativity.
Definitely, but I'd also say like if we, and this is the problem with a lot of NFT projects, is like here's our picture and here's our roadmap. Hold this picture and make sure that we're ticking off our roadmap, and then hopefully the value of your picture will go up.
Yeah, okay.
And it's like that's kind of close to the pin, but there's a disconnect there.
Yeah.
Whereas we're kind of like, here's your silly chicken, play with it immediately. Like start playing with it.
Yeah.
Fall in love with it if you want. Like, you know, here it is. It already does stuff. Yeah, there's like stuff that we're doing in the background, but really all you need to focus on is just having fun. And when we release stuff, having fun with that. And testing it and telling us what you like and what you don't like.
Setting that expectation from the start is
Yeah.
super important, right? Because then you don't have that hounding community constantly. I remember we listened to Vultura speak at NFT Fest, and he was going, the amount of messages I get every single day of people asking. More singers. Bro, that was amazing, man.
He hates you.
He hates me. Get out of my window.
Fucking delicious. Thank you.
And you know, he's just constantly managing people that are the community that is just constantly at his door, like when's the new feature? When are you dropping news? When? And it's like, feel like you guys set the standard early on and the expectation early on, and you probably had that a little bit less happening?
We probably stuffed up in setting ourselves a really high bar.
Okay.
I don't know another project that's released as much as we have in the last 12 months, particularly with the macro headwinds of crypto and NFTs. Most people would probably be like, hasn't been a smart time to release as much as you have. We don't really care. We're more interested in like the fact that we've got the most thriving community we could ever have imagined.
Why isn't it a smart time to be releasing now?
From a capitalist standpoint,
Yeah.
if you're there to really like milk every last dollar out of each release, you'd leave everything until to another bull market, right?
Sure.
And we will save our major releases until the time is right, for sure. And it means that we can keep making them better, which is fantastic. But does that mean you should stop progress altogether? Like, absolutely not. Because people have short attention spans and they'll go find something else. Whereas at the moment, the Chikn fam, they're really happy with each other. They're really happy in this community, and they're really happy with this project. And that is a rare thing to find in crypto, man. I mean, you guys know, right? There's a lot of like anger, bitterness, resentment, tribalism. To find a community that just loves what you're doing and also like shows love and respect for each other, that's worth everything. That's like something that we would never be willing to compromise. So from here, it's like weather the storm, but keep putting out cool stuff. Get to the other side and really set things on fire.
Dope.
Yeah.
What advice do you have to like other projects right now?
Don't do it.
The ones that have already fucked up and are already in. Well, I mean, like, what's sort of like your outlook? I mean, the next 2 to 4 years are looking pretty survival mode. Like, how's it?
I mean, who knows, man? Like, we all think we know what's coming in macroeconomics. I agree with you, for what it's worth. Like, I think we've probably got 2 to 4 years of really, like, insecure times. Maybe it's not all bearish, but where people are like, I don't really know what's happening. I'd probably much more happily take 4% on a government bond than invest my money in a speculative asset. We might see that that's the trend for the next foreseeable. But does that mean people are going to stop playing games? No. Like,
Fuck no.
gaming's the most profitable industry in entertainment. It's more profitable than the rest of entertainment combined. Movies, TV, music,
Wow.
live performance, everything. So it's like, where do you place your... I mean, in the Great Depression, like, entertainment still thrived because people wanted a distraction, people wanted something to do. So even if stuff is bad, it's like, all right, well, where are you going to put your chips? And maybe it isn't in speculative PFPs or, you know, Moonboy cryptocurrencies, but is it in a community that you believe in, a game that you love to play, a brand that you think has staying power? Stuff like this makes sense to me. And if you're honest with yourself as a developer, you're like, do we have those core tenets, or are we just capitalizing on the trend and the hype of NFTs? That's what you need to get honest with yourselves about from scratch, I think.
Well, it sounds like you're not, though, like, you're actually like, hey, we're building a brand, a project, a community, and you have demonstrated that, and you're just really building it on top of some tech.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, and everything else, it stands on its own two legs without having to sell the tech to get people to be invested into it. And so it's like, yeah, we're on blockchain, we're using NFTs, they can be swapped, they can be upgraded, which is all really cool. But fundamentally, you've created a brand and a game that has a community that supports and loves that. It's a digital arcade. You know, when you go to an arcade and play games with each other and you're like, oh, fuck yeah, we're really good at this game, we racked up this high score, you know? What are the kind of games or community activities that you see? And are you guys hanging out in... Sorry, give me a sec. Are you guys hanging out in Discord a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah? And what does that kind of engagement look like for you guys? And
They feel like family now.
cool. Yeah, that's wholesome.
The people who've been there since day one, and really proudly, we have like a super diverse bunch of people. One of the only NFT projects that I know that actually has females in the project. That sounds so trivial, and I hope one day it is something that we don't even need to think about, but for us it's like that's a good indicator that we're creating a project that is welcoming and open. You know, we have veterans, we have you know, people who are still at school, we have parents who play with their kids, we have you know, industry professionals from every possible industry there is. But they all resonate in one way or another. A lot of them I find resonate in the same way that we do, which is we grew up with some really big core brands. You know, these things like Tamagotchi, like Pokemon, Digimon, these really hooky, really sticky things that I still get the jollies over when, like, I won a little Pikachu at an arcade the other day and I was so stoked.
Bro, my mum bought me Pokemon cards for my 30th birthday. I was chuffed.
But like you would be.
I was so chuffed.
Because they're the best. I mean, like, it's wild. Like, it's wild to me to think that, like, I was bullied at high school, maybe not high school, but like end primary school, start of high school, for being into Pokemon. And I'm like, you guys are such idiots. Like, looking back on that, I was like, why? Like, it was the coolest thing, man. Like, it was the most creative, fun brand that you possibly could have aligned with as a young person. And I don't know. We want to create that for the generations to come, but we want to create that for also our nostalgic purposes.
For
like,
sure.
There's something about that that's so enjoyable, and it's like this form of escapism that I feel you can't get anywhere else. And like you said, the tech stack underneath is just the tech stack underneath. We could have launched this as a Web 2 game. I just don't think that the mechanisms would have been quite as sticky, you know, with the chicken laying egg. And I also don't think we would have had the community that we needed to really, like, bolster this heartbeat.
Yeah.
Like, to create a movement, it's not just about the people who created the movement. It's about the people, the initial followers, the core followers of that movement, and spruiking something that they didn't even create, but that they're so attached to, that they love so much, that they talk about it like it's their own. That's what makes a movement. And that's like, when you've got that at critical mass, which I believe we have, it's almost inevitable. Like, it kind of is like, well, we just need to follow through now.
But the difference is people are skin in the game. I think that's the main thing, right? They actually,
It's a huge deal.
The cool thing is that the more they promote it, the more chicken's going to grow, which means more egg, which means everything, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of the reason you don't have to do it on Web3, because like, if you did that, like, you own a Tamagotchi, there's no value to my life. You can't make my Tamagotchi as big as possible, right? I just might be the coolest kid at school. But now I can actually make money out of it and have long-term benefits from it.
Well, it's also like, if you're ever done with it, you can sell it,
Yeah.
and you haven't wasted your time.
Yeah.
You know, it was one of the biggest things that our parents used to say to us was like, you know, you're wasting all your time. Go outside. Like, And I'm like, all the time that I spent outside and away from games as a kid was a waste of time. You know what I
I love that.
Like, we would be so rich if we just focused on games when we were
So
kids.
if you have a kid, he's locking you inside, blacked out windows, and you're just playing games 24/7.
You can
No
have-
clocks.
No clock.
There's vitamin D supplements, man. You don't need to see the
You're a
supplement.
proper DJ. I get it. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
No, but I just think like it's so interesting to see how we grew up and where the world is at now versus like, I mean, I don't have kids, but it's a whole different world to be bringing kids up in. And,
Do you think culturally that's actually having an effect on the type of stuff that we're seeing? Because a majority of people who are in blockchain, in the crypto, Web3, NFTs, are between the ages of like 21 to 35.
yeah.
I think it's like 67% according to Finder worldwide.
Yeah.
So these are all like essentially 90s or late 80s, 90s, very early 2000s people. Yeah. And so what were the major brands, cultural movements,
Exactly.
ideas at that time? We're kind of seeing that new iteration flow through, right? And people we didn't grow up with the internet, but we experienced the growth of the internet, going from like dial-up to broadband to 5G now, and that creative phase is now being like filtered through, but like on this new tech stack, mucked around, plugged into like a whole new kind of technology, and it's almost like you're seeing cheese TV again, but like tokenized.
Yeah,
Do you know, like, and do you think that's just creating a lot more a runway for people to just like bring their ideas in and just see what happens, and that's what we're kind of seeing?
I think so, and I hope so.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people fail to identify what you've just identified. Like, a lot of brands are much more focused on,
It's like the now.
yeah, like replicating Fortnite rather
Yeah,
than,
yeah.
and it's like, that is cool, man. But you're right, the target demographic is not 14-year-olds now.
Yeah.
14-year-olds of the 90s and early noughties, right? Like, who are now of the age where they're looking into things like investments, into potential career changes, things like this. Like, the number of people I know personally who have up sticks and gone to Web3 recently, it's enormous, and it's going to continue that way because it's an industry that we see huge potential in, right? It's like,
One of the fastest growing industries at the moment.
totally. And, you know, like, cheers FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried for putting a huge dent in that and slowing us down, but I don't think it stops at anything. You know, the toothpaste's out of the tube now, and it's not going back in. So we're going to see that trend continue. And I think you're right. Like, smart people, smart developers are capitalizing on the nostalgia of that period, but also what's made those brands incredibly successful in their staying power. I just feel like not enough projects in Web3 are focused on staying power at all. They're all worried about, particularly NFTs, minting out, and then, what do we do now?
Yeah.
We talked about that on the Spaces last night, where it's like, potentially the incentive structure is wrong for creating NFTs. Obviously, a lot of people think that the hardest part is minting a project, but it's jacked. He's jacked and he eats here.
We'll come back again tomorrow.
We're going to be huge.
Yeah, the next episode we'll do back here, and everyone's just going to be just spot.
Absolutely jacked. See, like, there's no debating it.
There's no debating it.
Yeah, we were on these Spaces last night, and we were talking about how the incentive structure might be wrong, because a lot of people think that, like, an NFT project, like, the biggest part of that is minting it. And that is absolutely the most lucrative part of it, which is right at the start. And it's like, if you're an investor, the best period to be eyes on a project and attention on a project is at the mint. If you're a developer, your biggest point of income is at the mint. That's right at the start of your project. And so the incentive to continue work and development on that project after that point is minimal.
Yeah.
Compared to just, like, you can arguably make more money by creating a project, minting out, saying the developers are dead, moving on to another pseudonym, starting another project, like, and that's a real problem, because that doesn't incentivize further development.
What are some different structures that might incentivize that? Like, I've heard about, you make all that money from mint, but then it gets released in parcels. Yeah. Like, are there different sort of strategies or models that brands are playing with?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's not anything that people are playing with. There's people talking about this stuff,
Right.
but not implementing it. I think there's definitely an opportunity for us with our launchpad Ignite to potentially implement some things like this. But for the most part, we make sure that we're talking with teams who are interested in continual development from the get-go anyway.
Yep.
We don't really believe in control of other people's funds.
Sure.
So that's not something that we're looking at right now. But
so then, what are you looking for when you talk to these founders? Is there something that is
it's
an attitude? Is it
Yeah, it's they see potential in their idea beyond just minting out some JPEGs.
You want to see long-term vision and
Yeah.
That takes a bit of balls and conviction in yourself to like take that play, right? Which is kind of like, I don't want to like segue too much. What we're seeing is it's actually a creator economy, and that's what Fortune is going to favor, I think, in the future, is creators that do have that conviction and can take that punt and stay with it within reason. You know what I mean? You want to pivot on your punt, but like, that's actually who the future is going to belong to, especially the advent of ChatGPT. Information roles like the kind of the what and the how is going to go out the window because it's there immediate at our fingertips. It'll be like the who and the why, right? And then if a creator, that is a creator. It's like who the fucking person is and why are you doing it? And that's what people are going to rally behind, and I think that's what you guys are doing too. It's what we're seeing most successful projects, most successful creators doing at the moment as well. Like, do you have any thoughts about that? Like kind of this new economy that we're seeing?
Yeah, I do. I think I agree with what you're saying wholeheartedly.
Adrian, thanks mate. Deviled egg and lettuce.
Deviled egg and lettuce.
Was that a deviled egg and lettuce? This one?
I reckon it was.
There
That
was
was
some meat there.
fucking delicious.
Oh yeah, it was like ham off the bone.
Yeah,
It was so yummy.
All right. The roast beef was.
the roast beef. I was just like, I'm just gonna do all or nothing, and I
Yeah,
did it
that
all.
roll was
Yep.
It's literally the perfect meal if you think about like a macro calorie split. Like you got carbs, protein, a bit of fat with the sauce, like and some veggies, like yeah.
That's why everyone's rolling around jacked, bro.
Is the sandwich thing a craze here in Sydney as well? So Melbourne's now sandwiches. That's it.
That makes me so happy to hear.
Yeah,
It's great.
It has been a big trend.
Yeah, it's just
a
happened.
massive
People
trend.
just figured out like burgers were a thing, and then it went to like barbecue.
Are you going to pivot your brand?
I'm pivoting to Web3. Hamburger's done.
Okay.
You heard it here first. Hamburger's done.
We bring it to tokenize every fucking burger you've ever eaten.
I'm sure about this.
As the cholesterol in your system right now. yeah, and then that's all right, bro. It's your high
Yeah, we
test.
can start Dow.
Your high
For all my
test.
medical treatment, we'll have a Dow. They
It's
can
a
pay
new
the doctor.
payment mechanism called proof of calories.
He's the only man to have consumed that many burgers, look this good, and still fucking be alive.
It's bullshit.
So,
I eat less burgers than...
You don't eat the whole burger, do you? You just have a bite and you spit it out.
Stop eating burgers. That was phony.
You're a phony.
who's the lady who got put in jail for doing the blood?
She's in
patch?
the same bank. Is that the one who got tested for
Yeah,
it? You
yeah.
test it and then like.
It gives you everything. Like,
Yeah, she's in the same boat as Sam Free. It's like a thing now. It's like if you've been on, there's certain people, the Forbes 30, the Forbes.
Sorry, I just realised what you're talking
40
about.
under
Yeah.
40 cover story. If you're on that, there's like Sam
you're a fraud.
Bankman-Fried. You're a fraud. Sam Bankman-Fried, that woman who thought that if you prick, she can take the blood out of it, and she raised billions of dollars in funding. It's like the new Steve Jobs.
yeah,
It's the Steve Jobs theory. If anyone ever called you on Forbes the next Steve Jobs, you're a phony.
you're a fraud.
You're a fraud.
Well,
Get out.
You're a
Get out
fraud.
now.
bro, there's a gap there that you could fill with your blood right now.
It's thick. It's
Yeah,
thick blood.
it's thick, juicy, ready to
thick
heal the
blood.
world.
thick boy blood.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you'll never find us on the cover of Forbes. They've asked. They've asked. They said, guys, just don't curse us like that. But yeah,
That's great.
What were we talking about before? You said
Creator economy.
creator economy,
Yeah.
right? So like, I feel like agility is what's really being promoted. You know, the ability to mobilize really quickly to pivot to do this sort of thing, I do worry, while that stuff is super important, I do worry that it means that people abandon ideas really quickly.
Okay.
Rather than coming back to like what brought you to that idea in the first place. Why did you start? Why did you bother?
Yeah.
And it's sort of like love.
Yeah.
You know, you fall in love.
Here we go.
Everything's
Let's go, Joe.
yeah. You fall in love. Everything's great, and you're like wonderful. And then over time, like the lust kind of wears off, and you're like, oh well, I don't have that feeling anymore, so I'm not in love anymore. So I'm moving on. I'm dumping her, and I'm finding another. Like, but that's not true. Like, the initial phase is that honeymoon period, and it's wonderful. But like the love is in doing. Is in the
the everyday.
verbiage of the word.
It's getting very wholesome and for it.
Yeah. But it's the same with the startup, right? Like, there will be periods where you fall out of love with it. There will be periods that are really.
Oh, you're good.
I'm on.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
There'll be periods where you fall out of love with it, and that it's really hard, and that it doesn't feel as rewarding as it did to begin with. That doesn't mean you just pick up and start something else. Like, there is real value in persevering through those times.
What's
I
the
think.
saying? Is like, if you can't stay motivated, stay consistent, right?
Yes.
Just showing up.
Yes.
That's all it is. Because I think, I don't know if the hustle...
This is hitting Josh right now.
Josh, Josh is really full or crying about his girlfriend. I don't know what he's doing.
Potentially both.
Yeah.
Potentially both.
Everything reminds me of
Look at it.
the roast beef.
Just as cold.
Because I mean, like, I think hustle porn and hustle culture, I think, is slowly dying. But they're saying now, like, it's time to. You're not going to perform well unless you sleep, unless you rest, and like you recover now. So I mean, Chikn and Web3 is a 24/7 thing, obviously. But I feel like you boys have figured out a really good way to turn it off.
How big's the team?
There's 6 of us in the core team.
Dope.
And then we obviously have like a slew of contractors now for various different fields where we're not experts. Particularly, like, we're really spending big on game development and stuff like this, because while we're pretty damn creative and solutions oriented, there's plenty we don't know about game development, and getting like world-class designers and builders on board for that has been invaluable. It's just opened our eyes to things that we hadn't even considered, really.
But I certainly wouldn't mind taking.
And that's the real beauty of this project, is like that we're even developing our own skills professionally as well.
What are some of your core skills that you've brought, and what have you been developing?
It's been sexy.
How do they break through the good looking barrier and then take you professionally?
Well, typically
It's actually
they
you,
don't.
Josh, as well.
Yeah. So often they don't. They just get intimidated.
Yeah.
I call myself a DPAC architect, which is digital platforms and currencies architecture.
Okay.
DPAC?
DPAC, yeah.
I like that.
Thanks. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, no, it's a new.
But it does
I
now.
like that.
But I just noticed a real gap in, like, man, I wish everyone could see what we're seeing right now.
Oh, yeah.
I noticed a real gap in the fact that, like, no one was developing systems architecture that that revolved around a digital platform and or a currency, and the way that a system needs to be designed very specifically to cater for those things. Like, you can't just have a digital system that already exists and then be like, now we have a token.
Yeah.
If you haven't developed it around that token economy, it's never going to work.
DPAC architecture.
Yeah.
I might add a little sprinkle to that for us NFT.
Yeah, that's a LinkedIn bio, sure.
Yeah, but now we're in the nitty gritty of it. Obviously, we have our official job titles and our outward facing and our inward facing. Like,
What is yours official?
like outward
Roll
facing?
through, you're good. Don't worry. No, you're right.
People are very
Oh, good guys.
in Sydney.
So courteous.
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised. Culture shock.
Not everyone.
It's not often. Must be because a couple of Melbourne guys here, they smelled ya.
Yeah, I know.
We better show them our best.
So I'm wearing all black. I'm in the Melbourne uniform, I think. You're all real colourful. I'm just blacked out.
Yeah, it's true.
Got some pink stuff.
Is anyone even going to see you in the video?
I left my camo jacket at home, unfortunately.
Fuck, you fucked it.
Um,
But I have oh sorry.
No, it's fine. It's boring stuff anyway. It's
No, what is your official title?
outwardly, like we have outward, we do CEO and COO and
Yeah.
CFO and stuff, and I'm outwardly the CEO, but with the 6 core founders, I want to be like really clear about that like none of us pull rank over the other. We just
Yeah,
have our
cool.
specialties.
Yeah.
You're just the boss of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's equal,
I
but
am
some are more
the
equal.
boss. Not at all.
Final decisions.
If anyone's the boss, it's the COO. It's like he organises the crap out of us, and that's Sherbok for everyone playing at home. Sherbok Homes.
I want to come back to the Chikn names thing, because I think that's been a key part of your
Chikn
success
names.
as well.
My real name is Cluck Norris, so I don't know what you're talking about.
The pun economy of Chikn.
Yeah, it's important.
Unbelievable.
It's important.
Cluck Norris. Bringing the heat, yeah.
Yeah. What is it? Cluck Norris, Texas Walker Free Ranger.
Grass fed.
12 layer pun.
Oh, it's got to be. It's gotta be.
Insane.
So we have obviously inwardly, like I'm very focused on product development along with Sherbok. We obviously all dabble in each and every aspect of the business, other than like obviously the stuff that our full stack devs do that we cannot do. We'll do everything up to the point of coding it that we can. But there's like every single day we realize that there's more and more that we need to add to our own job titles and more that we need to become, particularly trying to like VC investment and stuff. Not that we're crying poor or anything, but we have a certain amount of capital that we've got to make sure lasts us through what's potentially a bear market for an extended period. So we've just got to be smart in how we allocate those funds and not hire on more than we can afford and try to do as much of the work as possible ourselves. In terms of like, what we're talking about with like hustle culture and rest and stuff, I don't think we've been particularly good at the rest side since we started a bit over a year ago. To the point where our community has been like, guys, take a break for the holidays. Like,
Wow.
we need to step away from the computer. Like,
Really?
honestly, man, it wasn't until like we had key community members being like, guys, just have a rest. We don't want you burning out.
Yeah.
That we were like, shit.
That's cool.
That's
That's
we really
amazing.
Should. We really should. So we like all got together at the last board meeting and made sure that we'll black out this time. Obviously, we've blocked out from today, which isn't happening. But we'll be a few days shy of our allotted period. But it's still
At
it's
least
going to be.
At least you're consciously thinking about it though, and you're like, cool, this needs to happen.
Yeah, and if anything, it's going to be like really hard to step away and not do stuff for a couple of weeks. But it'll obviously be really important to come back in 2023 and be refreshed. Because we've just got a huge year planned. Like, and I think like any startups should really use that time because it is a natural lull in the calendar.
Yeah.
Use that time to really rekindle, like refocus yourself. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
And why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
And really let that drive you. So
Can you share what your why is for 2023? That you guys have come together for or rallied around?
yeah, I mean our why is very much now our community. Like it's also that we believe in this upgradable NFT revolution.
Yeah.
But like it's a much more like I think of these people as my family now, and if I want to do well by them, and I want this project to succeed for them as much as for ourselves. So that's a big driver as to why. They're so nice, man. Like some of these people that we've met IRL, otherwise everyone else that we've met online, they're just stellar human beings. I don't know what it is about this project and the secret sauce that has come out of it, but it's just attracted like really motivated, really professional, really lovely individuals.
On that, do you think you could replicate Chikn again, or do you reckon it was a bit more like lightning in a bottle situation of what's come from it essentially?
Replicate what, sorry?
Replicate Chikn again.
Oh, yeah,
like, do you reckon,
yeah.
like everything you just talks about Chikn, you could do that in another project, or do you think it was like all the right things came into play to do it?
I think it's possible, but I don't think you could do it with a 100% success rate. I think it's like there's so many intangibles that have to align in order for that lightning in a bottle to happen. So I think like, maybe if we had a crack at another 100 projects, we might create another Chikn. But at that point, it's like, all right, well, we might be 75. We were better off just putting all our eggs into one basket.
We should have
Nice.
a punt. We have a
Nice.
chicken punt.
Nice.
Yeah,
Like a little-
yeah. Ding. But literally, like when you know when you're on a good thing,
Yeah.
and like we've all felt that in different ways, and like I think that's really what we're feeling with Chikn, and
I,
all 6 of us are just as passionate about it as each other. And
you also, I mean, it's also lining the bottles probably not the right word, because you guys have all been so involved in the space for years. I know, like one of the other guys has been looking at crypto for the past 10 years.
BBQ, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like me and BBQ started out in the space just like full degens, just trying to make a buck on the side. But then you fall in love with the technology, and
Every decision's calculated. Every
yeah.
single decision.
and it's up to the individual how much they want to dive below the surface, right? Like you can just try to be a bit of a moon boy and get on Twitter and see what the next 100x coin is, and that's your involvement in crypto, and that's fine. But like for me, as soon as I got involved in like 2015, 2016, I was like, there are no experts in this space. It wouldn't take very much to become an expert in this space. And then as soon as NFTs came along, I was like, there are definitely no experts in this space, because it's brand new for starters, and secondly, like no one's doing anything that creative on it yet. It's still in proof of concept phase. And now it's finally getting to like proper application phase, where we see like gaming being one of the most obvious examples. But loyalty programs, like membership, credit systems, like the NFTs have a huge role to play in all that kind of stuff, and we haven't even scratched the surface on any of that.
100% agree.
Yeah. Whereas, we're very much still like, look, we created a new token standard, and everyone's like, cool, like I can own a JPEG, and that is very cool. But yeah, there's so much more to unravel, and that's what we were excited to dive into. Just as we've been excited to dive into each and every little new thing that pops up in crypto,
Besides having this conversation again in a year.
Oh,
see
right,
where-
me too.
That's the other thing. I think like a year's time, just see where
I'll
you
be
guys
wearing a
take it.
suit and like
You'll be that Jack guy from before.
yeah,
Eating sandwiches here every day.
yeah, exactly.
1 year transformation from the sandwich to sandwich. Put it on the roadmap.
I want to ask one question before we wrap up. What are your thoughts on influencer marketing in the space? Is it required? Did you guys utilize it? Is it better to slow burn and build out a community like that, or what are your thoughts?
This is a tricky one because I'm obviously quite biased against
Isabel.
Zabel.
Don't know. We'll be ready to take Isabel's sandwich if she does not claim.
I think so.
Yeah.
Hello. Isabel.
Isabel. Hey, Isabel. You got a sandwich? Yeah. Yeah. You want to pass as well?
So confused like that. I make
It's
me so
alright.
mad.
And Sam.
We got your sandwich.
Thanks, bro.
Where's your napkin, Sam?
So I think I'm quite biased with this perspective. We obviously chose not to go down the route of influencers on any level. Like we have some really great connections in the space, and we also chose not to, I guess, milk them. We let our connections know about the project, but by no means do we want to shill them on this new thing that we were creating. We just believe in like creating something on its own merits, and doing it grassroots style, because very few projects have successfully done that in crypto, and I think it's like a missing ingredient in a lot of these cases. Substance over hype for us. But I do see there being obviously that next level, like once you've got the substance, once you've got this community, once you've sort of secured that reassurance of your concept and of your project, I think then looking into pushing it forward with some paid promotion and stuff like that, I'm not against that. It's not what we're allocating our funds. We believe in that they're better spent with development. But if you've got a surplus, you know, why not? Do whatever you want. I'm not here to like yuck anyone else's yum, for sure.
So you said substance before hype. And
Yeah.
so when you say substance, do you mean like building out a community that is like in line with the culture that you're trying to create?
I think two phases there. Like definitely the community, yes, like having a community with substance and who are rallied there for the right reasons. You know, if there was a dip in the market and you just had a bunch of people who were there from a paid influencer, they're all gonna nick off.
Yeah.
Like that's not a real community. Whereas a community that's drawn there because of the project and what you're creating is much more valuable.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, it's infinitely more valuable.
What's the thing? I think it's avoiding traditional marketing, because everyone looks and goes, "Oh, I market influencers, paid ads, and this."
Yeah.
It doesn't really work. Like you just said, you eventually it could, because you've got the community, you've got backing.
Exactly. But it's also, you've got this bed of support, and so if we did paid promotion now and people new to the project came into the Discord, they would have thousands of active users who are there ready to answer their questions, who are excited to welcome them into the community, who want to help and believe in the project.
Because you said they're making it as much theirs as
They
it
believe
is
in
yours.
it as much as we do.
Yeah.
And that's because we've involved them from day one, and we continue to, and we receive their feedback, and we work on everything that each piece of valid feedback sort of gives us. You know, we take on board everything that our community says, positive and negative, and we allow it to make the project better. We still stick to our guns where we believe, like, because not everyone, the community obviously doesn't see down the road as far as we do. So you have to use discretion with some stuff. But like, I think feedback and being receptive to it is really important. A lot of founders are not so good at that because they feel like they take it as a personal attack, and it's not about that. It's like, this is actually some of the most valuable market research that you can ever be privy to.
Yeah.
Take it on board, use it. But yeah, so I think creating that core group of people who care about your project, believe in your project organically.
Well, essentially, they're your influencers.
They are, though. Yeah, they are.
That's your influencer pool.
They are, and they believe in it so much more than an influencer who we pay to like our projects.
Yeah.
Like, and they'll speak more positively and more comprehensively of the project than anyone that we could pay.
Flash in a pan versus a roast dinner, you know, like that's what you're building. You're building a full roast. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
It's nice.
Food, I like that.
Full circle.
Yeah, it was good. And thoughts on the sandwiches today? What did we eat? We had the roast beef,
I don't know what we ate, but it was
Roast beef, we had
the green goblin,
chicken roll, green goblin, and a special, which is like the unbelievable sourdough with the chicken salad through it.
And the fucking gravy monster.
Yeah, that's the chicken roll.
Oh, that's the chicken roll.
Fucking
That
gravy.
We had to have
gnarly.
chicken.
Well, okay.
We did have to
That
have
was
chicken.
chicken and sandwich.
come to Mama, Surry Hills.
It's a pleasure, absolute pleasure.
Absolute
mate.
pleasure, mate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Cheers.
guys.
Cheers.